Greetings, listeners. I'm going to take this moment while people are hopefully going to join to mention that I'm looking for smaller YouTube channels to collaborate with for my Halloween special. If you are a smaller channel or you know a smaller channel that is very good, please let them know that they can submit an audio recording to blackcatschannel@gmail.com, and chances are I will probably use it in my Halloween special this year. I definitely want to give the younger channels a chance to get some exposure. So, yes, please pass that along. Also, I just wanted to let everyone know that I've started a Twitter account so that I can let people know when I'm going to do these live stream things. It is at Spoopy Black Cat. Let me post a link in the chat box. Let's see, so tonight I'll be doing the same thing I did last night. I'll be picking a random creepypasta. Maybe I'll do a couple this time if I get a short one. My allergies and asthma are pretty bad, so bear with me. I'll just need to stay hydrated. I tried every combination of Black Cat related things looking for my Twitter address or handle, whatever you want to say. And Spoopy Black Cat was the best one that I could come up with. They can only be so long, too, unfortunately. So, let's see. I'm guessing 3 to 4 is going to be the top number of people watching right now. So I guess I'll get started. Let's see. Taste a random pasta. Let's see. I will paste the link in the chat. Alright, this is a short one, so I'll do a couple, probably. The story is called Taken Down. There's the link. Sorry, my cat is sitting in my lap. You might hear some noises. Also, there's music in the other room. Here we go. I groggily opened my eyelids in an attempt to pull myself out of slumber. My eyes burned with exhaustion, as it was still the middle of what had been a long night. I reached for the glass of water sitting on my bedside table. My warm hand enveloped the condensation, and as I pulled the glass nearer to my face, it dripped. I made an attempt to sit up to avoid drenching myself in an ice-cold bath. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't move my torso. My throat was parched, and I grabbed it in desperation. As I stared at the glass, it taunted me. My throat tightened, becoming incredibly dry with every bead of water that rolled off the glass. Sorry, my cat is biting me. What are you doing? Stop it, you little guy. You little killing. Ow! God! Okay, stop. Stop it. Okay. Sorry. Sorry for the interruption, folks. The mental taunting continued, and eventually changed to a whisper. I couldn't understand the voice. It mumbled incoherently in my ear. My arms were forced to my side, and the glass of water was flung to the wall. It shattered, a storm of shards and wetness all over the room. Oh, some of these stories, man, they're pretty fun to read. I always get a little chuckle. Anyway, it shattered, a storm of shards and wetness all over the room. The shards fiercely pierced my skin. Hot, sticky blood began to spread over my body. The voice turned into many voices, and they wouldn't cease. I screamed out for help. I was so desperate. Only no sound came out. I felt sharp nails scrape the back of my throat, and the blood was filling my lungs. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see. The whispers were shouts of incomprehensible rants. They gave me a feeling of loathing. I was gasping for one final breath, but I only inhaled blood. As I drifted away from life, the yells returned to a peaceful whisper, almost a sing-song voice. My lungs cleared, and I felt them tighten. My lungs cleared, and I felt them lighten. My throat opened up. I was no longer parched. My crusted eyes opened with ease, and I realized where I was now residing. I found myself stranded at the gates of hell. That was a fun one, right, guys? Let's see. I'm getting a little parched after that one. Sorry, I've got the squeakiest chair in the world. I have to edit it out. I have to edit it out of every single video. But anytime I move, it squeaks. Really, yeah. Anything I do. Alright. Let's see. Let's get this next one here going. Taste a random pasta. Alright, this one's a tad bit longer. Whew, boy. It's called Sarah's Colorophobia. Let's find out how to say that, because I think it'll come up quite a bit in this story. It's not letting me... Oh, wait. Hold up. Oh, my cat just left.
Sarah's coulrophobia.
Coulrophobia. Okay. Sarah's coulrophobia. Get you guys that link. I'm gonna need a little more water for this one. How's the audio out there? Let me know in the chat box. Move the computer a little bit closer so I can get real intimate. So I can get real close to everyone. Intimate. I don't know. You know, sometimes there's words that I can't say, and then I'll just change them when I'm reading the story. And unless people check the sources, they'll be none the wiser. A little pro tip for you struggling narrators out there. Okay, here we go. Sarah's coulrophobia. Ever since Sarah was a little girl, she was terrified of clowns. Fortunately for her pride, a lot of people harbored that same fear. The idea of a person being goofy and happy all the time, dressed up in a silly costume, made a lot of folks uneasy. So she wasn't alone in that discomfort category. Growing up, she rarely had to encounter one of those overly enthusiastic Growing up, she rarely had to encounter one of those overly enthusiastic men or women in face paint and crazy colorful hair, but when she did, it was bad. So bad, in fact, that she eventually had to go to therapy through much of middle and high school because of nightmares induced by the fear of clowns. As Sarah got older and progressed through therapy sessions, her fear eventually began to dissipate. She wouldn't shut her eyes every time she saw a clown smiling at her from her television screen or when browsing the internet and accidentally seeing a picture of Pennywise from Stephen King's It. She learned to control her fear so that it wouldn't control her. Her first year of college was perfect because her newfound ability to stem the cry of the jester-created demons she had within. It would not be long, it would not be for long, however, because she would find that great fear can and would return, and in the most sinister way possible. It was mid-March, and Sarah was as busy as ever, juggling the workload of a typical in-the-trenches college student. It was a Tuesday, and Sarah had just gotten out of her last class of the day. An important pardon me, an important an important psychology lecture by a guest speaker that had lasted for about 2 hours. As she was making her way back to her on-campus apartment, a young man apparently in a rush collided with her, causing them both to fall to the ground. Sarah had landed on her back, her bag flying off her shoulder. Angry at the man's idiocy, Sarah slowly sat up to ask him just how in the world he could be so unaware of his surroundings, but was shocked to find the man was nowhere to be found. Scanning the immediate area, there was no sign of him. Shaking her head, she got to her feet. Picking up her bag, she noticed a flyer face down on the ground. That Neanderthal must have dropped it during his hit and run, she thought. Sarah picked it up and turned it over, and gasped. It was promoting a special event called Night of the Clowns. Posted underneath, in the middle of the promo, was a picture of a creepy clown, with dark blue hair and a big orange smile plastered on his white face. Below his picture, there was a short description about the event. Are you ready for a Oh wait, should I read this? I'm going to read this in a clown voice. Are you ready for a laugh-a-minute goofballs that could even make your grouchy grandma grin? Well, look no further, guys and gals, because Night of the Clowns is in town. Prepare for a night of food, fun, and games, hosted by us kooky clowns, and absolutely free. Come alone or bring the entire family. All are welcome. Right underneath the description, there were directions and the starting time of the event. Confused, Sarah read that information again. She read that it would be located at the MacArthur Fairgrounds, but she knew that the fairgrounds had been closed for a good 2 months ago. No. But she knew that the fairgrounds had been closed for a good 2 months due to the county wanting to develop the land for housing and business. There would never be any kind of festival or carnival or anything like that there ever again. Shaking her head, she continued reading, and it said it would begin at 8 p.m. that night, and that it would last until early the next morning. Why anyone would want to spend an entire night with some crazy clowns, Sarah couldn't understand. She looked at the clown on the flyer again, his eyes staring back at her. She studied the flyer, trying to remember if by chance she had ever heard of an event called Night of the Clowns, but nothing came to mind. It was just too weird. She shook her head and tossed the flyer in the garbage. No thanks, she thought. No clowns for me. Water break. Sorry, y'all. Alright. You're really getting the behind the scenes kind of thing. I know I'm kind of reading it pretty well the first time, but I assure you, it's a fluke. I have never read these stories before. For those of you who are joining late, these are random. I don't know what these are going to be. Anyway, later that night, ... At about 7:50 in the evening, Sarah was on the couch in the living room, watching television, and having some Chinese takeout for dinner. Her roommate Dawn was out with her boyfriend, so Sarah knew she'd be there alone for a while. As she sat there, Sarah figured she could give her boyfriend Jesse a call to see if he wasn't busy, so he could come over. But then she remembered why he hasn't... But then she remembered why he wasn't over at her place by now anyway. He wouldn't be off work until midnight. Defeated by the realization she'd be home alone for a while, she sighed and ate a forkful of chow mein, flipping through the channels. She passed over shows like Dirty Jobs and Criminal Minds, not finding anything she wanted to watch, until she saw that Man of Steel was on HBO. As she began watching the movie, she noticed the picture of her television set to become fuzzy. Suddenly, the screen went from showing Superman fighting General Zod in Metropolis, man, this is really specific, to a disturbing face of a sad clown with dark makeup. It was juxtaposed across the entire screen, and it made Sarah jump in her seat. The clown just stared at her and motioned for her to come closer. Sarah fumbled for the remote and shut off the TV. She shook her head. Damn clowns. Okay. Oh man, this is pretty funny. Alright, I see there's some chats going on in the chat box. Manny, you rock. Liz-a-lot. Gotta go back, I guess. Thanks for watching and listening. Michael, hey, how's it going? Okay, back to the story. For the life of her, she didn't know how in the hell it went from Superman to a freaky clown, but she didn't care. Enough TV for tonight. She looked at her phone and saw that it was 8 p.m. She jumped when her cell phone suddenly rang. She looked at the number and didn't recognize who the caller was. Sarah answered the phone. "Hello?" she said. After a few moments of silence, a voice that sounded like Disney's Goofy responded. Hold on. We're waiting for you. Oh. We're waiting for you, Sarah. We're starting the fun, and we need you here. Sarah tried to pinpoint anything about the silly voice that might seem familiar, and laughed. Okay, who is this? Jesse, cut it out. The person chuckled. No, not Jesse. Sarah, still smiling, shook her head. Okay, well, whoever this is, I'm gonna go now. Before Sarah could hang up, however, the voice laughed hysterically, and suddenly her television came back on. As Sarah watched in horror, that same creepy, sad clown was looking at her. This time, standing next to a man in a chair with his hands tied behind his back. The clown held a knife to the man's throat. As Sarah slowly recognized who the man was, she uttered a cry and cupped her mouth with her hand. I wouldn't hang up just yet, Sarah, or poor little Jessie will have to go away. Sarah looked at her phone, terrified and shaking all over. Who are you? What the hell is this? Sorry, I was reading Joanne's It's your first time watching a live stream? Cool, I'm glad it's mine. Anyway, her eyes glued to the television, she could hear the man on the phone let out a throaty guffaw. I'm just a clown, Sarah. You're not afraid of clowns anymore, right? Tears began to fall down her cheeks as she looked at Jessie's terrified expression. She choked back her tears. No, I'm not. Please, just let him go. The man sighed deeply. Of course, but you have to come here first. Come to Night of the Clowns. We're waiting, Sarah. We're waiting. The man hung up, and the television went dark. Sarah sat there in shock, her phone still pressed firmly against her ear. She slowly lowered the phone and thought about calling the police. As she dialed 911, she realized that this wasn't a guy messing with her TV or some average Joe kidnapper. This was paranormal. Something outside of the realm of logic entirely. She understood what she had to do to save her boyfriend. She had to go to the Night of the Clowns. Sarah drove as fast as she could to the MacArthur Fairgrounds outside of the city. The closer she drove to the area surrounding the fairgrounds, a thick, heavy fog started to envelop her car. Before she knew it, she had arrived at the large, closed iron gate of the fairground entrance. She was shocked to see a grand marquee accompanied by a bubbly clown face greet her from above, bright strobe lights in different colors lighting up the night sky. She looked past the rusty bars of the iron gate and could see game booths and rides of all kinds. There was loud carnival music booming into the air, and the distinct sound of children's laughter. What she didn't see, however, were people anywhere. It was as if the entire place was run by ghosts. Sarah slowly got out of her car, and almost immediately the gate began to creak open. Creak! How's that? She cautiously approached the gate, looking around nervously. Suddenly a group of clowns appeared before her, laughing and encouraging her to come inside. They wore an assortment of costumes, wearing different kinds of wigs and hats. There were male and female clowns, all flashing her painted, creepy grins. Sarah approached them, sweating with fear. Okay, I'm here. Where is he? One clown, wearing a top hat and carrying a funny-looking cane, looked at the rest of the clown posse and giggled. I assume they're an insane clown posse. He looked at Sarah and placed a hand on her shoulder. We'll take you right to him, my dear. Then we can have... Oh, wait, sorry, this is a clown. We'll take you right to him, my dear. Then we can all have a splendid time. The clown wrapped an arm around her neck playfully, and all the other clowns giggled. Scared to say or do anything, Sarah allowed the clowns to lead her to Jessie, and she passed ride after ride, booth after booth. She noticed that more and more clowns surrounded her. She also noticed that their faces became more disturbing, their forms more monster-like, as they moved deeper into the twisted carnival. Whew, man. Okay. I'm not scared of clowns either. Sorry, I'm reading the chat box again. I'm not scared of clowns either, but I don't know, this story is starting to interest me. Anyway, she saw clowns that were impossibly tall and slender reach out to her, smiling at her with stained yellow teeth. She saw a clown hunched over like some type of animal, hissing at her, a tongue like a lizard's flicking in and out between her crimson lips. One clown she passed was wearing a crude, fleshy mask over his face, covered in blood. His red eyes seemed to shine like eerie orbs of light. The group of clowns escorted her finally arrived. Wait. The group of clowns escorting her finally arrived at a large polka dot tent. The clown in the top had no. The clown in the top hat spun Sarah by the shoulders so she could face him. Sarah trembled as she looked into his evil, maniac eyes. Where is he? The clown tilted his head, motioning to the large tent. Right in there, my dear. Go inside and we'll get started. Sorry. Let's see. Okay. He let go of her shoulders, and Sarah slowly walked into the tent. She was greeted by bright lights and great applause. She held a hand over her eyes, almost blinded by the light. She blinked several times and saw that there were hundreds of clowns sitting in bleachers surrounding her, all watching her with glee written all over their painted faces. In front of her she saw Jessie, still tied up in the chair, with that creepy, sad clown wielding the blade dangerously close to his neck. Sarah cried out in anger and ran towards Jessie and the clown. She was mere steps away when the clown pressed the blade harder against Jessie's throat. Sarah looked at her boyfriend and realized he had passed out. She looked at the menacing clown holding him hostage, fury in her eyes. "Let him go!" she screamed. The clown just looked at her with his dark frown, and then at Jessie. He shook his head sadly and without warning slit Jessie's throat wide open. Blood sprayed everywhere as Jessie convulsed in the chair, a sickening gurgle coming from his throat as he stared at Sarah with terrified eyes. Sarah, without thinking, ran up to the clown and punched him in the face. The clown fell backwards, the knife flying from his gloved hand. The clown watched as Sarah cradled Jessie in her arms, tears streaming down her cheeks. Let's see. Sarah felt Jessie go limp in her arms as blood ran down her chest. She heaved as his. She heaved as she held his head, crying uncontrollably. He didn't deserve this, and she felt the inevitable wave of guilt come over her. This is all my fault, she thought. A disturbing cackle to her right caused her to snap her head up, and she could see the sad-faced clown was slowly getting up and smiling at her. Gently laying Jessie's head down, Sarah quickly got up and picked up the knife. Before he could utter a word, she pounced on him, tackling him to the ground, with the mentality of a deranged animal, stricken with grief. She stabbed the sad clown in the chest over and over. The clown cried out in protest, telling her to stop, but it was to no avail. Sarah stabbed him as hard as she could, laughing as he choked up blood and his eyes rolled back in his head. Even after the clown's eyes closed and his death apparent, Sarah kept stabbing him. After a few minutes, she finally stopped and stood up, her shirt stained with his blood now. She looked at the crowd. They were silent, unmoving, waiting for her next move. Crying, she threw the knife to the ground. "Are you happy now? Look at what you've done to me," she screamed. The clowns just continued to watch her in silence. Finally, the clown with the top hat and funny cane entered the tent. His eyes widened when he saw the sad clown lying in a pool of blood. He looked at Sarah and smiled. Raising his arms in the air, he faced the crowd of clowns. "Wackos and jokers, jesters and loons. She has done it. Our Sarah has done it. Finally conquered her fear of us." The clowns in the audience erupted into laughter and applause. Jumping up and down in their seats, They threw flowers and streamers and sprayed silly string into the air. The clown approached Sarah, his grin getting wider as he got closer. She stared at him with the utmost hate in her eyes. "Just let me leave, please," she cried. The clown shook his head and motioned to the crowd. "Leave? Why, my dear? You are never going to leave." Sarah looked at him, shaking her head in confusion. "But why? What have I done to you?" The clown laughed and wrapped his arm around her shoulders once more, pointing to the crowd. "Nothing, Sarah. You've done nothing to any of us. This isn't some kind of revenge thing. No, 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 it's something far greater. A test." Sarah, tears in her eyes, looked at him. A test?" He nodded. "Yes, a test. You passed with flying colors. We had to see if you were ready to join us." Sarah looked at him, a chill running down her spine, making her legs feel like spaghetti noodles. "Join you?" He nodded once more and laughed. "Yes, join us. We seek out those who fear us and help them understand we aren't that bad. Once they finally understand, they become part of our big, crazy family forever." Sarah, horrified, tried to run away, but the clown held her tightly. She screamed, "Please, let me go. I lost my boyfriend. Isn't that enough for you?" The clown shook his head. "He was just part of our test. He isn't important. What's important is the fact that you passed. Now you're one of us. Here, take a look." The clown pulled The clown pulled a large red mirror from the back of his striped trousers and handed it to Sarah. She turned it over and saw her reflection. She screamed at the top of her lungs. The skin on her face was a ghostly white, with dark diamonds around her eyes, both cheeks painted with black circles, and her lips, now a shade of ebony, formed into a wide grin. She tried to rub off the paint, scratching and pulling her skin to get the morbid makeup off of her face. She then realized it wasn't paint at all, but the skin itself. Trembling, she saw another transformation while looking at her reflection. Her eyes her eyes changed color, turning from a medium brown to a mosaic of green and red. She felt a discomfort in her mouth and felt around with her tongue. She opened her mouth, screaming once more. Her teeth had become canine-like, protruding from under her dark lips. Shaking, she almost collapsed in the clown's arms. He giggled and held her. She looked at him. What have you done to me?" she asked weakly. He gave her a remorseful look and motioned to the crowd. "Nothing, dear Sarah. We just made you part of the family." The clown audience erupted into fits of laughter once more, and Sarah watched them. She studied their faces for the longest time before looking up at the clown holding her. They were demented, but happy, she thought. The sound of their laughter soon became soothing, comforting in a strange way, like a relaxing tune you listen to before you drift off to sleep. Slowly a smile came to her face and she giggled, and then began laughing hysterically. Nothing else could be heard but the sound of the clown's laughter, floating up and out of the tent into the cold, dark night. Hee. Alright, what do you guys think of that one? Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. It's 2 stories. Maybe I'll do another one. But I'm going to play an advertisement. Sorry, folks. Let's see. While that's going on, I'm going to keep streaming, get the next story ready, taste a random pasta. I like that story. It's pretty good. Kind of reminded me of a movie I saw once. Called The Last Circus, I believe. Check it out. Pretty good. This one's kind of long. I want to do some more short ones because it gets more variety, you know? I'm going to try another one real quick. We've got a request from the viewers for... Whoa, hold up. Let me read some of these. Whoa. Okay. Thanks for the compliments, everyone. Human is a good one, apparently. The House That Death Forgot is also good. Talking about Creepypasta. I don't know if I'm subscribed to Creeperoni, but I like the name a lot. More comments. Thank you for saying I'm good at narrating, or I'm getting really good at narrating. I'll look at arms, since you said it's kind of short. Arms. Let's see. Creepypasta arms. So while this is loading, I'll reiterate what I said at the start of the video for those of you who didn't start from the beginning. For my Halloween special this year, I'm wanting to collaborate with some smaller channels. So if you know any smaller YouTube channels, I'm talking like 500 subscribers or less, have them shoot me an email at blackcatschannel@gmail.com. If they send me an audio recording of a story, then I will most likely use it. Or if you are a small channel, let me know. I'm looking for y'all. Ugh, y'all. This text is starting to rub off on me, unfortunately. Here we go with the next story. Arms. Yeah, this is doable. And if it's scary, even better. Oh, and hey, Liz-a-lot, can you paste a link to Creeperoni's channel so I can subscribe to it? That would be very much appreciated. Here we go. Arms by Umbrella. I remember when it started. The woman next door was strangling to death in her bed. Oh, pardon. The woman next door was strangled to death in her bed, with no sign of forced entry. Although her window was open, she lived on the 5th floor without a fire escape. The killer was never found, and the apartment remained vacant. Some time after she died, I started having night terrors. I would awaken suddenly, gasping for air. One night I opened my window and stuck my head out to take some deep breaths. That's when I first noticed him. A man was standing in the window of an apartment across the street. It was the only one with the lights on, and his body was just a silhouette. I couldn't really make it out at first, but he seemed to be outstretching his arms toward the window. The next night I awoke again in a panic. This time it really felt like someone was choking me, but there was just no one there. I assumed the incident with the woman next door was just making me paranoid. For the first time in my life, I was a little scared to be alone. As I opened the window for some fresh air, I noticed him again. Just as the night before, there was one apartment across the street with the light on, and a man standing in the window with his arms outstretched. Is that all this guy does? I muttered to myself. Maybe he's not right in the head. I had an eerie feeling that he was looking right at me, but it was hard to see. I closed the window, pulled the shades, and went back to bed. I was getting curious about the man in the apartment across the street, so I bought some binoculars. During the day, I watched his window to see if there was anything strange going on. There was no activity, not even any furniture that was visible from the window. Had he moved out since last night? I watched until the sun went down, but no light in the apartment ever came on. That night I dreamed there was a man at my window. Like my late neighbor, I lived on the 5th floor, and there was no fire escape. It was hard to see his face, but I could feel his eyes examining me. His presence was thick and suffocating, almost intoxicatingly so. I struggled to avoid his gaze as I ran to the window, attempting to close the shades. Before I could scream, he reached right through the glass and put his hands around my neck. Sorry, my neck. My voice cracked there. I'm not a teenager anymore. Sorry, folks. Let me try to read that more like an adult. Before I could scream, he reached right through the glass and put his hands around my neck. How was that? That's how I think, what's his name? Kyle Dobson? He used to do some horror stuff, but now I don't think he does that as much. He's got a great voice, though. Definitely recommend checking him out. Anyway. Where was I? Hands around the neck. Okay. I awoke terrified and convulsing. The window was open, though I had closed it earlier. Coughing and wheezing, I stuck my head out and took in the night air. It was unusually quiet, no cars on the road. Looking down at the street, there was a long stretch of light penetrated by a looming shadow. Reluctantly, I panned up to find the source. Again, there was one apartment across the street with a light on, and a man standing in the window with his arms outstretched. I grabbed my binoculars to get a closer look. Immediately, I was petrified. He was most definitely staring at my window, and his arms seemed to be reaching for me. I locked the window, pulled the shades, and hid under the blankets. Let's see. Sorry, I keep checking the chat box every time I get to the end of a paragraph. I'm sure it's breaking up the flow of the story, along with my commentary here. Each night I became more paranoid. I stopped looking out my window, and kept it locked at all times with the shades drawn. Even so, I could feel him staring at my apartment. I thought about calling the police, but I still wasn't sure if it was all in my head. Then came that horrible night. As usual, I awoke in hysterics. My window was still locked, but the shades were upped. My window was still locked, but the shades were up. I looked across the street, and the man with his arms outstretched had his window open. This was my chance. If he could hear me, maybe I could get a response out of him. "What the hell are you looking at?" I shouted, but there was no reply. The man remained silent and motionless, his arms extended slightly beyond his open window. I thought he would at least be startled, but he showed no sign of acknowledgement. Why do you stand there every night? Still nothing. Just as I turned away, his light went out. I looked back to see if he was still standing there. but it was too dark. I slammed the window shut, locked it, pulled the shades, and turned on the television. There was no way I was going back to sleep, or at least that's what I kept telling myself until I started to pass out. I couldn't help it, so I shut off the TV and climbed into bed. How could I ignore you guys for coming out here tonight, joining me on this live stream thing? All four of you. So, how did you guys know that I was live? Did you get an email about it, or did you just happen to be on YouTube? Let me know in the chat box. Later that evening, I had another night terror, feeling like I was being strangled. The sensation didn't stop, however. This time I really was being strangled. Two hands were clasped around my neck, attempting to squeeze the life out of me. As I struggled to break free, I tried to get a look at my attacker. I followed the arms, expecting them to lead to a body, but they just kept going. They stretched all the way to and through my open window. I couldn't believe it. Arms were reaching into my fifth-story window all the way to my bed and were choking me. I flailed around, trying to wrestle away from the freakish extremities. Kicking and scratching didn't faze them, and the grip was so tight that it hurt to move. I reached out in desperation for the knob on the nightstand drawer, as brittle nails dug into my skin. I managed to get it open, but trying to reach inside made the choking even more painful. Frantically, I felt around for anything sharp. I grabbed a pen and began stabbing the left arm with every ounce of strength in my body. I don't know how many times I stabbed it, but eventually it pulled back a little. Removing the left hand from around my throat, I grabbed it, pulled it into my mouth, and bit down as hard as I could until I drew blood. Ba, 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 ba. The arm shook violently, trying to pull its hand from my jaws. Choking on blood, I unclenched my teeth. Both arms began retreating while I spit and gagged. I stumbled to the window, hoping to slam it down on them, but I just grazed the fingertips. I watched in horror as the arms which had stretched all the way across the street retracted back to their source. My heart stopped when I saw who they were attached to. They were his arms. I couldn't look away as the hideous limbs wobbled and whipped, returning to their normal length. He put them down at his sides, and the light went out. This time, I didn't just lock the window. I moved the bookcase in front of it. I sat on the floor shaking, trying to get my thoughts together. What was I going to tell the police? A man reached into my window from across the street and tried to strangle me? They'd surely think it was a prank call, but I needed someone to check out that apartment or I would never be able to sleep again. I decided to make a quick, anonymous call about a domestic disturbance. Eventually, two officers pulled up to the building across the street. They went inside, and a light soon came on in the window. I waited for something to happen, hoping I didn't just send two unwary men to their deaths. After mere minutes, the light went out, and the officers returned to their vehicle. Their voices just managed to carry up to my window, and I heard them say what I was hoping they wouldn't. Nobody lived there. A few weeks later, I saw a moving van outside the building. Someone was moving into that apartment. I was relieved, though my night terrors had already stopped. One night, I couldn't sleep, so I turned on a light and looked outside. I noticed someone across the street looking out their window. For some reason, I felt compelled to reach for them. I'm still trying. Bum bum bum! Thunderclap sound effect. Hold on, let me cue it up. Hold on. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, wait, hold on. Where is it? There we go. Okay, let me try that last line again. For some reason, I felt compelled to reach for them. I'm still trying. Hope you guys didn't get too scared from that one. Whew, I know I was. Okay, let's see. So Liz a lot got a notification that I was doing a live thing. E got a notification. Okay. Let's see. I think I'll do one more random short one if I can find it. So while I'm getting that set up, unfortunately, here's another advertisement. Okay, while that's playing, looking for a new pasta. Man, there's a lot of long ones on here. Alright, here's one. This one is called Holder of a Song. Is that ad over? Yes, okay. Holder of a Song. Hold on, I need a little taste of water here. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution you can get yourself to. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit the holder of song. You will be guided to a single door leading to a long winding staircase. It will seem to take you up higher than the building should stand. There will be a door at the top of the stairway that opens into a dim hall. Heat will wash over you. Proceed down the hall, and at one point... Sorry, let me put that phone on silent. Okay. Heat will wash over you. Proceed down the hall, and at one point it will suddenly get much colder. When this happens, you must stand perfectly still and make no sound. If you hear a baby crying, turn around and run away. The baby's cry will follow you. If you hear it for the rest of your life, you're lucky, for when it stops, your firstborn child has died. This is a silly one. If there is no cry and the heat returns, proceed to the door at the end of the hall. Open it. The room will be awash in green light. In the center will be an old woman turning a music box that produces no sound. Her legs have both been severed at the knees. Oh, when you speak to her, you must look her in the eyes. She hides a spear. Hold on, I need to take a second. You know, some of the stuff that supposedly scares people in the world is pretty funny to me sometimes. Sorry if this stuff actually scares some of you, but to me, it is sometimes funny. Okay, where was I? Where's that old lady? Okay. She hides a spear fashioned from the bones of her legs. Oh, okay. She hides a spear fashioned from the bones of her legs, and if you break eye contact, she will impale you and leave you in agony to bleed to death. Oh, 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 okay. She will respond only to one question. Ask, ask her, what was the song they used to play? Oh, the old woman will begin singing. The song is in a different language, but the melody is beautiful. Serenity will wash over you. You will be presented with the image of children playing and singing. Things will turn grimmer. The children will begin fighting, then killing, then disemboweling each other with sharp rocks. The image will continue of children spreading death and destruction, more horrific than you could ever have dreamt. But still you remain calm and peaceful. You will see a naked boy drenched in blood, singing with delight as he runs through a hellish wasteland, pursued by unspeakable monsters. They find him and mutilate him utterly, still with the song to continue from his dead lips. Man, who comes up with this stuff? It's so funny. Oh, it's like they're trying whatever they can find to try to make it seem scary. But it's like ripping off like Hellraiser, stuff like that. We've all seen this. We've all seen children getting ripped apart before by monsters. Come on. I can go down the street right now and see that happening. An intense pain will stab at your chest. Your heart will feel like it's about to explode. But still, you must not break eye contact with the old woman. If you do, an exploding heart would become your happiest dream. If you don't shift your gaze, the pain will cease. The woman will stand up. You will not know how. Why did they have to say the part about her standing up? You know, because she doesn't have any legs. Why couldn't they just say, get rid of that part, and just say, the woman will place the music box in your hands. See, it accomplishes the exact same thing, and it doesn't have to defy the laws of physics. I mean, so far in this story, physics, has remained normal, like it is now, and this is the only instance where it gets weird. So, whoever wrote this, change that line. Anyway, the old woman will place the music box in your hands. The music box is object 6 of 538. When its song plays again, they will all come together. So, wait a minute. So will all 538 objects come together, or will something else come together that they assume we will know? Perhaps the holders. Or are there 538 holders? Are there 538 things that this author could think of for people to hold? If you know the answers to any of these, please tell me them. That was a pretty good one, though, right? Oh, man. Oh, where was that? Oh, pretty much when the old woman came in, that's when I lost it. So much like a trope. That's what it is. Oh, here we go. Oh, wait. Those are videos. Okay. Okay, I found another short one, but unfortunately, time to pay the piper. So while I'm getting that played, here is the next creepypasta. I'm posting the link in the chat. Oh, thanks for letting me know, E. I don't want to get those objects all together because that's the end of the world. Next, creepypasta is Lessons from the Shadows of Hiroshima. Or Hiroshima. Hiroshima? Hiroshima. Hiroshima. Which do you prefer? Hey, sleepy-faced angel. Glad you could make it out. Is that... Okay, the ad is over. Let's get this story up going. Lessons from the Shadows of Hiroshima. I'm going to say Hiroshima. Or should I say Hiroshima? I'm going to say Hiroshima. Anyway. This might be tasteless. I'm sure it is. Sorry to any of my Japanese listeners. I mean, I don't know if the story's going to be like, I haven't read it yet. Daddy, why do they hate us? Oh, God. Oh, sweetie, it may seem like they hate us, but really, it's more like they chose us. But, Daddy, I don't want to be picked. Neither did I, Pumpkin, but, unfortunately, it is the will of greater men and a greater God. This will be the last nuclear war the world will see. There is an old saying that one must destroy before they can create. It is like when you play with your Lego blocks. Once you build something, you don't have to take it apart in order to build something bigger Once you build something, don't you have to take it apart in order to build something bigger and better? It is the same thing with men and cities. Okay, it is Hiroshima. That's what I thought. Anyway, couldn't they have picked other cities? They have, my baby, many others. But we have been chosen because we just consume too much. There isn't enough food and materials to go around anymore, and because of that, there is too much evil in the world now. You know how scary it can be when you and your brother come with us to the market, don't you, baby? Yes, Daddy. Now it's been 9 minutes since the sirens have gone off. I want you to be my brave angel. Oh, I want you to be brave, my angel. We are going to be immortal after today. That means we are going to live forever. No more pain, no more hunger, no more hurt. That doesn't sound so bad now, does it? It's time for us to tell each other goodbye. I love you so much, my baby. I'm so proud of you. Now let's grab our signs and head outside. The Smith family straps their hollow stenciled signs over their back and above their head. As they position themselves in front of a large immobile marble slab, they clasp hands in a row and close their eyes. The tears rolling down their cheeks evaporate immediately, as do their bodies. Once the nuclear blast reaches them, they are permanent shadows. Wait, hold up. Oh, as do their bodies once the nuclear blast reaches them. Their permanent shadows burn against the marble, leaving a message for the survivors of the Great Reduction. We forgive you, lest not be in vain. Alright, that one was weird. How could they... Wait. I guess I don't. So I don't get how they wrote on the wall with their shadows. It doesn't make any sense. Alright. Boy. I don't even want to read the comments on that one. Well, folks, I guess that's about it for tonight. I hope Liz, there's not a point in trying to decipher this story. It didn't make sense to begin with. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to call it a night. So thanks for everyone. Thanks to everyone for joining me this evening. Remember, I started that new Twitter account. So if you are the tweeting type or like to read the tweets of people on YouTube, I can certainly help you out with that by sharing my Twitter link again. I will be, I guess I'll post on there when I'm doing these live things. I did one last night, so thank you for those of you who watched it. I ended up removing it from the channel just because it was a 19-minute long video, and 13 minutes of that were me making yum yum noises with my mouth and my cat and all that. And plus the Creepypasta, I only read one of them and it wasn't very good. So yeah, don't look for that video anymore. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Hope you all have a good night. Oh, also, remember those small YouTube channels? Send them my way. I want to collaborate with them. So, anyway, enough rambling. Oh, wait, also, I guess since I'm talking about it, I have a Patreon page. If you're interested in keeping this channel, or if you want to make this channel better, I recommend checking out my Patreon. I would like to do videos 7 days a week again, like I used to when I first started, but I just don't have that kind of time. But if I could get $1 per video from 100 people, or even from more than that, sure, even from 50 people, that would help. Because I would like to do this for a living instead of doing my day job, which is a nightmare. That's why I'm so spooky, because I have a nightmarish day job. Just kidding. Of course, it's not that bad. Makes ends meet. Can't complain. It's nice to have a job in this economy. But this is way more fun. So if you'd like to help, here's where you can. It's not too much to ask, I don't think. I've given you lots of entertainment, and you owe me. Just kidding, of course. Nobody has to give me anything, except their delighted listening ears for me to terrify with terrifying tales. Yeah, that'd be nice. So yeah, hope you like this. I'll probably do a few more of these throughout the month, or more often. I don't know. Depends on the reaction I get. Sorry, Moo, you missed it. All right, everybody. Or should I say? Oh wait. Speaking of the Patreon thing, I'm going to be having some merchandise come out. Special edition patches for your jackets and purses, or bags, backpacks, whatever. Those embroidered patches. There's going to be several different ones. Let me quickly look at those rewards. I need to finalize the designs, and then I'll probably put the images in a video. But there's oh, you get special stickers. I'm doing these special stickers that say "I'm a black cat horror hound" for all of you horror hounds out there. I guess that's what I call you, or my fans anyway. You guys are my horror hounds, and yeah, those stickers will be available soon. Let's see. There's also going to be patches for the Black Cat Clubs, or Black Cat Club member patches, and Black Cat Inner Circle patches are for the highest pledges. But the stickers should be available to most of the other things. Plus, they'll be for sale eventually on the website that I have yet to set up. So, anyway, enough of that money-making garbage. Nobody cares about that stuff anyway. Hope you all have a good evening. Remember to keep it creepy. And tune in tomorrow for my 3 urban legends of North Carolina, I believe, is what I'm on. Let me double check that real quick. Yes, North Carolina is tomorrow. Alright, keep it creepy, y'all.